Hello, Voyagers. In this episode, we talked with Michael Mayo, an internationally trained medium, astrologer, spiritual teacher, and author of the book Spirit Speaks, Your Guide to Evidential Mediumship. We talk about how Michael developed his own mediumship and his approach to teaching others through Oakbridge Institute. He's a pleasure to talk to, and in addition to learning a ton from this one episode, we also laughed a lot because he's very funny. I'm your host, Lauren Leon.
And I'm Frank.
We are a married couple learning how to develop our own intuition, and this is episode 35 of Clairvoyaging. Wayfeather Media presents Clairvoyaging.
What's going on?
Summer's in full swing.
I think it's been a minute now, right? We've been in summer for a minute.
I know, but it's hot.
It is hot.
It's hot.
It's muggy.
I went on a hike with our daughter, Jean, and it was not a pleasant experience.
Our daughter who coaxed Lauren into letting her call me real quick under the guise of something else, and then immediately went into a rant saying, "Please come pick me up. I'm dang out here. It's so hot."
She took the phone. She took the phone from me. She said, "Let me talk to Dad real quick."
It was very funny to be on the receiving end of that.
The entire walk back, she's like, "This is so hot, Mom." I'm like, "Oh my God, I'm never doing this again."
We need to get the kids more active.
I'm taking her to gymnastics right now. So,
right.
Guys, that's a little window into the life of the Leons. We hope you're doing well. We have an amazing guest today. We had a blast talking to Michael. We walked away and we were like, I said, I want to be friends with him.
Michael Mayo's a cool dude.
Yeah. Otherwise, I'm still doing my 30-day meditation challenge, and today is day 13. Going strong.
Going strong, doing a good job.
Thanks, Frank. Are you proud of me?
I'm very proud of you. You're sticking with it. Sticking to your guns.
Well, when I make a promise, I can't let myself down more than anyone. Even if nobody's doing it like I am.
What I want to see is this roll into a 60-day.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, Frank, you got anything else?
Do I have any other news? Just me fighting with journal printers.
Can you believe this saga? It's been 2 months.
2 months.
You got anything else?
No.
Okay.
But I do want to say thank you for your continued listenership.
Yeah. Reminder, we have these amazing promo packs. We had one of our listeners, Kimberly, she posted a picture of her hat. She was in her hat. She was holding her journal. We're throwing in the poorly printed journals as well. So
there's still work. It just could have looked better. That's all.
Yeah. It's a solid pack. I don't want to, bribe you, but reviews help us and promo packs are fun. So write a review and send us a screenshot, clairvoyagingpodcast@gmail.com.
And we'll love you. We'll love you with our goods and wares.
Yeah. They're just lonely. These hats, beautiful hats.
Ready to
sitting
be worn.
Here. I wore them on my hike. I wore all of them. No, I wore one on my hike today.
These hats come with Lauren's sweat and Jean complaints.
Yeah. And now, take it away, Frank.
What? Let's go, Michael Mayo.
Press play.
Oh, the button, the music button?
The go button. Yeah.
Here we go.
We have Michael Mayo on Clairvoyaging. Thank you so much for joining us. We're so happy to have you here.
I'm excited to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and also how you got your start in this world of mediumship?
Yeah, so thanks for letting me be here. I started my journey 18 years ago in February. So last February was 18 years.
Wow.
So I've always kind of had a spiritual bent to me. I've been in many different belief systems and was going to be a pastor and had all of these different sort of drives towards understanding that which is bigger than myself. And none of it was really kind of scratching the itch in the way that I think it needed to. And I kind of kept searching until I was finding, what is this thing that's bigger than myself? And I stumbled into a mediumship demonstration where there was a medium from England who was visiting, and he was doing a demonstration of mediumship. For those of you who don't know what that is, that's essentially a medium standing in front of a room with like 60 something people in the room and giving messages to people. And just by chance, that was the second time I visited this metaphysical shop that was happening. And the owner was like, you need to go to this. And I was like, okay. So I went to it. And to my surprise, because I had no one who had died in my life at that point, the medium was like, you're a medium. You need to start developing. And one day you'll be doing what I'm doing.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, okay.
They pointed you out from like 60 people?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
They're like, you need to start developing. And so I was like, sure. I mean, he had initially said, are you where you're very psychic? And I was like, yes. But only because I had dreams that had come true and things like that. Not because of any other real reason. Like I didn't really know what that meant.
Yeah.
He said that to me. And I went to my very first development circle a couple of weeks later. And it was my turn to give a reading. And I got the person in spirit's name, how they died, when they died, like relationship facts, like it was all there basically. Your kind of ideal reading. And I went, oh, I guess that guy was right. And then I went back to the next class and I got nothing. I went back to the next class, I got nothing. I went back to the next class, I got nothing. And so I kind of thought, okay, clearly I was able to do this once. So I just need to understand how to do it again.
Yeah.
And that began my 18-year journey of developing my mediumship. And that journey has taken me all over the world to study with some of the best mediums that we have living today, such as Eileen, Davies, Gordon Smith. And I've just been very fortunate to have seen some of the most amazing, incredible mediums in the world, and also the height of fraudulence in mediumship. And
Oh, wow.
all that sort of. I've seen the lovely gamut of it all.
Yeah.
And I think that makes me a very informed person regarding all of this sort of thing.
I find it so interesting that like you didn't necessarily, it sounds so like casual. You were like,
I know, right?
yeah, I guess I am a psychic. So like, did you, as a kid, were your parents like, oh, like Michael has these gifts or abilities or anything like that? Or was it just like, I don't know?
No. And that's actually a big part of my like message, I guess, to people, is that this isn't something that you have to be special or unique or born with to be able to do.
Yeah.
I can literally teach pretty much anyone how to do this. And it's because you are a spiritual being having a human experience. You're spirit first.
Yeah.
And so all I have to teach you to do is to get out of your thinking mind and your, rational thinking mind. And the more I can get you out of that, the more access you have to more of what you already are. So we already all have this ability. It's nothing special that I do. I just have happened to spend 18 years doing it.
Right.
I think I just in the past like week, I know I said, I always say I'm very heady. I just in the past week realized how much I live in my head and how much of a problem that is.
I saw you start smirking when he said thinking mind.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay. So when you had that you did that like demonstration, you had that initial mediumship like experience and that came through for you. How did that come through for you?
So how it came to me. So basically we had done like the little meditation and we were like all ready to work. And my teacher, Barbara, was like, okay, it's your turn to stand up and give a message. And so when I stood up, I sort of felt this like kind of zeroing in, because all she told me to do was just like, trust whatever's coming to you and just say it. I was like, okay. And so I sort of felt this like, this sort of like zeroing. Like when I think a good way to describe it is if you're in like a loud restaurant and you're having a deep conversation with someone.
yeah.
And it feels like it's zeroing in on just you and that person. And there's all this other background noise, but it's just that.
Yeah.
That's sort of how it felt, is kind of like this zeroing in. And then all of a sudden there was a person there, like, when someone's standing next to you, that was the way that it felt. So someone was there and I was like, oh, this is a guy. And he says his name is Jorge. And it was. And he says that he was, because I'm just hearing this. I mean, it was mostly clairaudient, really. And, which means hearing, for those of you who don't know. And, I just heard his name's Jorge. And he says he was your best friend, and he says that he died in an accident, in a motorcycle accident. And this whole time she's going, yes, yes, yes.
Whoa.
And that he in March something was his birthday, and she's like, yes. And like it was just literally that. It was just relaying the information as it was coming to me. Now, I wish every reading of mine was clairaudient like that and just everything.
Yeah.
In that instance, I would say it was mostly clairaudient.
Was it his voice or your voice where you were hearing that?
Kind of neither.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, neither. So it's interesting because it wasn't so much the objective clairaudience where it sort of sounds like it's outside of you.
Yeah.
It was sort of like an inner clairaudience where it sort of just feels like the sound is there, but it's not recognizable to whom it belongs.
Sure.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So I don't know if that was his voice or just, I don't know. It's a weird thing when you try to describe, perception.
Yeah.
Because I feel like unless you've had the experience, it's sometimes hard to put it into words,
Yeah, I would imagine that's hard to describe.
So then you tried the scientific method, this thing, do it again, didn't work.
Yeah.
So I've heard that, like, especially during development, that your abilities can kind of come in waves. Or was it something like that? Or was it more along the lines of like you had to get into that frame of mind to get that extreme focus again?
Yeah, great question. So being, a teacher of this topic for many, many years now, it's very easy for me to tell my past self exactly what was going on and why it didn't work. So the reason it wasn't working is the first time I did it, I had no expectations. I had no attachment to the outcome. I had nothing to compare it to. I was very neutral. And ultimately, in mediumship, to do it well, you need to learn to be neutral and indifferent about the outcome. So so essentially I had tension because now I was trying. And trying is the antithesis to any mediumistic or psychic awareness. If you're trying to make it happen, you will block yourself. And that's why most people struggle with mediumistic or psychic awareness, is that they try to do it. And because mediumship and psychic awareness are the opposite of how you do everything else in your life. Everything else in your life, it's do it, make it happen, take action, etc. Mediumship and psychic awareness, to perceive things, you have to learn to do the exact opposite of that. How do I do nothing? How do I do less? The more that I learn how to do nothing, the more perceptive and receptive I become, and then I'm able to become aware of whatever is present. So we're never taught in our world today, really, how to become passive and receptive.
Yeah,
so
not at all.
And so that's why people don't do this. You don't see as many people doing this, is because our whole society is built around action, doing, thinking,
capitalism. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So this is teaching you the exact opposite. How do I become still, quiet, passive, receptive? And I think it's hard for people to understand, or at least maybe accept the idea that like doing less will actually give you more. And that's what people don't really have the concept of. And that's something that we teach, at our school and all of that. So, yeah.
What's like the best way someone could turn off the thinking mind? Like, what is it?
Yeah. So the secret.
Here it is. Listen closely.
He's like,
gather around, children. I'm going to give you teaching.
What we've been waiting for.
Exactly. So here's the thing. It's not that you have to learn to turn off your thinking mind. Your thinking mind's going to be there.
Yeah.
Learning how to quiet it a little bit more so that you can become receptive to certain things. So it's sort of a series of things that I teach people to how to do it. So kind of the first step with it all is learning how to become as still as you can. So learning how to quiet your thinking mind happens through recognizing, first of all, what that state feels like. So I actually use clairsentient sensations as a marker of passivity. So what does that mean? It means when I'm teaching a student how to know, oh, now you're becoming energetically sensitive, right? That's the first step. You have to become energetically sensitive. We call it attunement. There's physical sensations that accompany that state of awareness that let you know you're getting there. For example, tingling, buzzing, thickness in the atmosphere, pressure on you. Those sensations, like when you're meditating or things like that, tell you, ooh, I'm starting to become energetically sensitive. Because what's happening is normally your brain or your awareness, I guess, is really focused on like the physical, right? Like it's in this little body. What happens is as I start to quiet and calm my awareness, there's sort of like an iris that begins to dilate. So that now my awareness is including more of myself. So when I can start to quiet and calm my mind, which takes time, many people it takes like 10 minutes, 15 minutes in the beginning, just get past that, your brain just going. Once that starts to happen, then you move into this other state of awareness where you start to kind of open and relax. When you start to relax and open, you will find your awareness starts to shift and you start to get these sensations that come with it. Tingling in your hands, pressure on your shoulders, thickness around your face. It's going to feel different for everybody, but you start to feel these sensations. As soon as you start to focus or try, those sensations go away. So we use those sensations as a means of teaching people how to recognize, oh, I'm in that state, and what did I do to get into that state? What in my awareness that I have to let go of or not focus on or whatever to enter into that sensitive state? So that's sort of step one. That's step one of kind of learning to recognize that I'm even there. Because if you don't know where you're going, you're sort of just like, I'm just floating around in my eternal being. But if you have something that's sort of objective that you can't fake, like I can't fake sensations to start happening.
Right.
I have to get a headspace that allows those things to happen. And it's actually from that headspace that we begin into any of the other work. So we call this attunement. So you're tuning your awareness from your normal thinking mind into a sensitive state. Does that make sense?
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. And like, I told you I was doing this, like I'm doing this meditation challenge. I was just meditating like last night, and I understand the feeling that you're talking about. The like, your sensitivity changes.
Yeah, a little buzzy, a little vibration, electricity. Yeah. Thickness, pressure, any of those sensations.
The second I start becoming aware of it, it goes away, like you said. And it's like a matter of just letting it continue, right?
Also, let's be honest here. You were in the family room, and I was doing dishes.
There's been other times, but yes.
Okay. I was doing dishes, and at some point, she took off her headphones and said, "Can you stop making so much noise?" I said, "Dude."
You know what? Actually, what I will say is you should actually thank him, because it's better to train with sound and noise and distractions than to train yourself in silence, because then you will learn. It actually can be a really helpful thing to keep your awareness sensitive. So what you do when you have distractions like that is you tell yourself, you prime your brain, every time I hear Frank smashing dishes in the sink and banging things around, it's going to be my reminder to return to the breath.
Yeah.
So you actually use it as a helpful tool, as an inducer of your meditative state rather than a distraction.
That's great. Thank you, Frank.
Thank you.
I was thinking like, this is, I gotta just like stop. And then every so often, like a little sound would like startle me. But yeah,
I was
thank you for that. That's
I was
great.
trying to be quiet. I had a squeaky shoe too. I was just trying to like sneak around her, and it just wasn't working. This is all funny too, because like whenever I used to be able to achieve, and I'm starting to remember how to do it again. I used to be able to achieve very like deep levels of meditation to where like the world around me would disappear. It was almost like I put earplugs in, and it was very cool. That was in my early 20s before I learned to be even more distracted by everything. Now when I'm like, oh, I'll go into a meditative state for a second. I'm like, oh, here it is. I feel that openness, that expansion. Like, you have your eyes closed and you feel like you're in a space suddenly.
Yeah.
And now I go, aha, this is it. Like, time to focus even harder and make this happen. And like, it ruins everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that example because that's what 99% of people do in the very beginning.
Yeah.
Start to get somewhere and then they go, time to do. No. You actually do the exact opposite. Keep that same level of openness. Whatever got you there is what you want to maintain and then let go more.
Yeah.
So one of the best things you can learn to do is notice, accept, let it go and do less. Notice, accept, let it go and do less. So anything that you experience while you're in that state, you notice it. So, okay, I can feel that I've entered into this space. I accept that that's now happening. And because that's happening, I can now let go and do even less, pay less attention to it. And what that does is it teaches your brain from going into what I call like grabbing, which is whatever our attention goes to, that's where our energy and everything else is going to flow to.
Yeah.
So our attention goes on to something, we're grabbing onto it.
Yeah.
And we're going, what is this thing? It's time to do the thing now. What we need to learn to do instead is to never grab any part of the experience. We let it pass through us. It doesn't do anything. We notice it, we accept it, we let it go, and we relax so that we can become aware of the next thing that's going to change in our experience.
I feel like I have a little underlying like fear almost when I feel that. So is it just practice that like allows yourself to let go?
So one thing that I always do when people have fears, I ask, what are you afraid of?
Yeah, what are you afraid of?
I don't know. I think it must be like losing control or something. It must be a control thing.
Well, the nice thing about that is that you'll never get further than you're willing to let go.
Right.
So it's never going to like override you and be like, you finally passed through this gate and now we take you on this journey. Like it's not going to happen like that.
Yeah.
It's only to go as far as you'll allow it. And so that sense of tension, it will always keep you to a certain point until you slowly over time let each little finger go of control.
Yeah.
And then it'll take that much further. So anyone who kind of has a fear of getting lost or something opening they can't close or sort of getting sort of sucked into an experience or who knows what's going to happen, you'll never have that experience because you're in control. So you have to let go little by little, little by little. So you only go as far as you're comfortable with. And over time and repeated exposure, eventually you realize, oh, this is safe. I have nothing to fear. And slowly but surely you'll get further and further down the road. And then you'll actually have pretty amazing experiences. One thing I always try to tell people is that there's nothing to fear from the spirit world. There's nothing to fear from any of these experiences. That would be like being afraid of going to sleep, essentially.
Right. Yeah.
All you're doing is just moving through these states of awareness that we naturally pass through when we're going to sleep and things like that. The only difference is that you have awareness of these shifts and transitions.
Yeah.
And so there's nowhere you're going to go. You're already connected to the spirit world. You're already in the spirit world right now. There's a part of you that exists there all the time. So you're just experiencing more of what you already are. You're never going into something that is new or crazy or, scary that you have to be worried about, like getting lost or anything like that. So I always try to kind of calm people's fears around that. You're just experiencing what is already there. The only difference is now I have awareness of it rather than before where I'm just not aware of it.
Yeah. I love that. Thank you. That's really helpful.
So it's a control thing?
I think so. I mean, when I think about anytime someone's like, have you tried mushrooms? I'm like, not in like a big experience way because I'm scared. Yeah. I know it's like I'm afraid of something. I think it's control. Yeah.
I mean, I got that thing around drugs and things like that. Like I have the same sort of fear. Meditation and this sort of thing, not at all. I mean, I can let spirit come in and do whatever the hell they want.
Yeah.
Say, come, bless me. Let me slip and float into the sky like it doesn't happen at all. That doesn't happen, by the way. Moving on.
So
I think it's the trauma that we're doing a lot of, since we started this whole journey, we're doing a lot of like trauma healing and inner child stuff. And I know some of that is from early childhood, not having control of my situation or something. I think that's probably what it is.
One of the most important things you can do developing any of these things is personal development as well.
Yeah.
Because you can be an incredible psychic and also be a very, let's use words nicely, Michael.
That's okay. Giant asshole. It's okay.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you said it really well.
Thank you.
You can, as I was going to say, a person who requires a lot of personal growth.
Yeah.
You know?
Wow. That's very kind.
And I think we all do. We all have our stuff, and especially if you grew up in our generation, I'm sure you guys are about my same age. So,
21. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Same age.
Yeah, just turned.
It's like, yes, Gen Z.
But yeah. That we keep hearing that too, and which is just like anytime we try to go a step further, it's like, oh, yep. Well, this is why I can't get further at this point, because I need to go back here and do some healing.
Let go of control, let go of fear.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. Just so we can keep an eye out for it, when Lauren and I are able to achieve like the next level of expanding our awareness, what would be like the next thing that we could possibly experience? Or is that like just very unique per person?
Yeah. Well, where are you now?
Meditation.
Yeah,
I learned Reiki, so that's helped me like just open up more. Yeah, for me, it's been opening my awareness through meditation.
I think I'm stuck on. So in my 20s, I was able to actually forcefully astral project, which was super cool.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, and I was too scared because I didn't know what I know now, and now I want to like get to that again. And it was always just through like deep meditation. I can like during the day, I'd be like, I'm going to go give it a shot. And I'd lay down for 20 minutes and then I'd like, it was an intense experience because I'd have shadow people come around me, which were probably just my spirit guides. And I was afraid of my best friends, basically. But yeah, man, I'm dying to like get back to a point where I can do that again. It was happening so naturally, like, and to the point where it was happening even when I didn't want to do it, which is, I think, when it felt kind of invasive and I was like, this has to stop. So honestly, like I think our biggest hang up, you're doing much better than I am at this point. Our biggest hang up is just like finding time to set some time aside to like do that quiet time. Cause it does take a little bit of time. So I think for the most part, because we got kids, we tend to be pretty busy. I think we're just trying to be like more integrate like a lot of the lessons into our daily, very lucid lives of like spirit is around all the time. Like we have a decision to make. Let's like trust ourselves. Let's ask for help. We definitely acknowledge the unseen world around us, but like, man, it would be cool if it was just a little more seen. That's where we're at.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would say, Reiki is helpful in that any kind of healing work is really helpful because of the passivity of it. Mm-hmm. It's often people who start to have mediumistic awareness have been doing Reiki or some sort of energy healing first, because what they're doing is going, okay, I'm just letting this energy pass through me. So they're developing passivity, where they're not trying to make something happen. They're not controlling it. All that sort of thing allows their awareness to be open to. There's no pressure on achievement or getting a message or contacting a spirit. And that openness and that passivity is actually perfect for becoming aware of presence and spirit and all that sort of thing. So continue to practice it and continue to sort of just like practice that passivity of just letting the energy do what it's going to do.
Yeah.
That's really a key concept of it. What you're dealing with, Rank, is what we call expectation. So there's three sources of tension. So mediumship works and psychic awareness works best when you don't have tension. Mediumship and psychic awareness work when you're free, relaxed, surrendered, indifferent about the outcome. So the more that you don't give a crap about what the hell's about to happen, better off it's going to work. So that's why you'll often see people have very natural psychic or mediumistic awareness where they're just kind of going throughout their day, not really paying attention to any one thing. And then suddenly they have an awareness or a knowing of who's going to call or something's wrong with someone, etc. There's no tension in it. That's the natural way of developing, or not developing, but your intuition to work, right? Unnatural thing is say, do it right now. And that's what requires development, is to learn, how do I get into that state on command? So one of the 3 core principles of this that I've kind of put together is the sources of tension. So basically all tension you're going to experience and challenge in your mediumship or psychic awareness will be stemming from one of these 3 areas. Number 1, desire. So desire is desire for an outcome, desire to get it right, the desire to do well, desire to have XYZ happen. That creates tension. You can feel that, right? Like if you're sitting there trying to meditate and you're like, oh, I want to get into the passive state. Like, why? You can feel that tension in you as you're doing that. Desire for an outcome. I mean, this is very common when people start to try to read other people. They'll feel that sense of tension happening. So desire is number 1. Distraction is number 2. So that's distraction of your own thoughts. It's distraction if you're going to read someone, either your biases about who this person is or what they've experienced based off of race, gender, orientation, presentation, whatever it is. Also, distraction can be the way that your sitter responds, right? So if your sitter is going, sitting there with his arm crossed and like kind of frowning and being like, sure, yeah. That might make you feel a sense of tension versus if someone's like, oh my God, that's my mom. Like, very effusive.
Yeah.
That maybe makes it feel a little bit easier, right?
Yeah.
So that is a source of tension. You can't let that also get to you. And lastly is expectation. Expectation is tension that stems from it should look, feel, or be a certain way because it either was that before or it's my belief that it should look or feel or be a certain way.
Whoops.
And yeah, exactly. And so that tension will absolutely inhibit it. So there's solutions to all of these things. So for desire, the solution is learn to become indifferent about the outcome. So you have to learn how to not care about what's going to happen next. So that obviously takes time and practice to get there. Distraction is what we call the 90-10 rule, especially if you're doing a reading for someone. 90% of your attention is on the spirit world, 10% on the person in front of you. So you really keep your focus on that instead of like the way that they're reacting.
Yeah.
Also treat every reading or every person that you read like they're adopted. So you just never assume anything about anyone. Just imagine that everybody's adopted, and just because they look, feel, or be, express themselves in a certain way, that has no bearing on who they are, right, or their lived experience. So the more you can do that, the better.
Oh, interesting.
And then expectation would be to treat every experience you have like it's the first time every time. So each experience, enter it into it as if you've never had an experience before. You basically, I like to say, you get your little Etch-a-Sketch after every experience, and you shake your little Etch-a-Sketch brain, and you just erase. For my Gen Z people, that's a little toy. No, so you take your little brain and you just shake it, and delete everything you experience. And then the next time you come to the experience, whether it's meditation, whether it's reading, whether it's anything, you let go of everything that came before. You just are present with, okay, I'm just here now in this experience, and let it unfold from there.
Do you think that was your biggest hurdle to have when you had a successful first attempt versus like your other attempts? All
of desire, distraction, and expectation were all involved.
Got it.
But yes, expectation 100%, because last time I just stood up and it was there.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
where is it? Now I'm searching, now I'm reaching, now I'm trying, now I'm efforting to make that happen because it's not there. What I didn't know is I needed to relax. I needed to surrender. I needed to wait until I could feel that little shift. And that will only come if I'm not actively trying to get something.
That's fantastic.
I'm seeing little light bulbs go off left and right.
Yeah, like when we're silent, it's just like so much to digest. That is oh, so good.
But it's also not. It's just like, duh. Like, why didn't I get this earlier? Like, of course.
He's been doing
know,
this
he's
for
a pro.
18
I
years
get it.
and he teaches it.
Yeah.
He's boiled it down into like very great
bullet points.
Yeah.
I need the bullet points. Yeah.
I wrote a book on the thing. So, there you
What's
go.
the book?
What's your book?
Spirit Speaks. That's a step-by-step guide to, God, what's the long-ass thing at the end of it? It's a step-by-step guide to genuine spiritual communication or something like that.
Do publishers and their subtitles. It's like, come on.
I know. Yeah. It's Spirit Speaks. Michael Mayo. That's all you got to type in.
Okay.
You got it. It's yours. So, yeah, no, I'm very, very proud of my book because that's what I wrote it for people to, if I was like, they're like, how do I do this? I just go, here you go. This is how you do all the things you need to know to be able to make a link and then some. So, and the other thing is what we teach at Oakbridge, which is my online school with Megan and Lisa. What I teach, what we teach is, especially in our foundation courses and in that book, we don't teach you like tips and tricks of how to do these things. What we're teaching you is foundational concepts that apply to any spiritual work you do going forward. So it doesn't matter whether you're doing healing, psychic, trance, mediumship, whatever the hell you're doing with your spiritual work, these principles and concepts apply across the board because they are universal. They are what inhibits us from accessing more of what we already are. So it's not like look up and to the right and then you'll get that person's name. Like, no, it's.
Do people teach like that?
People teach shit like that.
Wow.
No.
Oh my God, it's awful. Anyway.
That's so specific.
Yeah, that's so weird.
I know. And so it's about us teaching you how to, that's kind of my brain. I think if I have a gift of anything, it's taking some sort of non-specific concept and putting it into like a this, then this, then this, then this, like organizing these sort of things that are hard to comprehend and explaining it in a lay way that people can understand. I think that's a gift of mine that I have. Thanks, ADHD and abilities. Like I appreciate it. Those are helpful in the end, but Lord, boy, was it difficult in school.
Yeah.
I think I had to learn how to understand things from like a different angle, and that's really benefited me in being able to teach people this topic. So I'm like, you guys need to just come to class. You guys need to.
I read through the description. I was like, we had Megan on the podcast, and then I was like, and who is Michael Mayo? And I found your class, and I was like, this seems amazing. It's just at the same time as my Reiki mentorship program, and I'm like,
right.
Dang it! So. Once that's over, I'm coming. I'm probably going to come and learn from you guys because it seems like even just the description, I was like, this sounds like so well put together.
Yeah.
So good job with that.
Thank you. I don't want to toot my own horn, and maybe I am tooting my own horn.
That's okay. Toot.
I do think that we offer probably one of the best programs out there, and I say that because that's what people tell us, but also because the results, our students do really well and they grow a lot. And now with anything, with all of this sort of learning, like it's about what you put into it. Mm-hmm. And we're saying like sit in the power every day and people don't do that, then they start falling behind. And then, all that sort of thing sort of happens. So really your mediumship psychic development is about what you put into it. So if, Frank's saying, you're really good at setting aside time, if you want to develop, you have to make that a priority. You have to go, okay, I'm going to set aside 15 minutes in the morning, 15 minutes at night, or set aside 30 minutes and just do it. You have to put something into it to get something out of it.
Yeah.
Megan also mentioned sit in the power, and what is that?
Yeah. So sitting in the power is a meditative practice that we teach that helps you to cultivate many things. So number one, well, let me explain what it is first. What you do is you're essentially taking your awareness, you're kind of going inward first. So you're feeling into that divine spark within you, that central part of your being, as we like to call it, where sort of like if you imagine, where does your soul reside, so to speak?
Mhm.
That's where you take your attention. And what you do is you bring your awareness there, sort of like a flashlight. You don't change anything. You're not trying to do anything, but your awareness acts like a flashlight. It illuminates something wherever you direct it. So you bring your awareness to that central part of you, and then you relax, you let go, and you soften. And the goal is, what happens is you'll eventually feel a little bit of a stirring. When you feel that stirring, you're just intending that when it's ready, that energy might begin to open and expand to fill the body. And then we allow that energy to move just beyond the body, and then a little bit further, and then a little bit further, until that energy is sort of like arm's length or even filling the room in which you're sitting in. It's not a visual thing, it's a felt thing. So I don't know if you've ever done any meditation where you start to feel kind of like fatter, or you start to feel thick, or like you're sitting in an
I don't need a meditation to feel fatter right now. I need to work out.
So in meditation, you can start to feel like you're in this sort of like egg, or you feel like you're like in this little dome, or you start to feel like there's this extension of yourself beyond the physical body.
Yeah.
That's
okay.
what is that sense of expansion outside of your physical self. And then what you do is this is where it sort of turns into sitting in the power. That's just more becoming a sensitive and attuning. What becomes sitting in the power is where we offer this intent we use sort of this white light or this light as a vehicle to like surround your being, lift you into this higher state in your awareness, and move you into this still, quiet place that exists somewhere in the ether. And as you move into that still, quiet place, that's where you rest. So you sort of just be in the stillness, be in the quiet. And from that state, we offer that time to the spirit world and say, hey, I'm just here for you to develop me. This is your time. I'm just here to commune and be still, do whatever is needed for me right now. And that's a sense, meaning like for my development. I'm a strong believer that it's the spirit world that actually develops our awareness. And so if I hand over the time to them to say, hey, I'm just here to connect and be still, and you take care of the rest, that actually offers an opportunity for developing. So that's my sort of way of describing what sitting in the power is, or how to do it rather. The benefits are, number one, it helps you to learn to quiet and still your thinking mind. Number two, it helps you to become passive and receptive. So learning how to sense and feel energy, and the energy, you're developing your clairsentience essentially. Number three, it gives the spirit world a chance to develop you. And number four, it is every time that you kind of sit with the spirit world like that, you're banking energy for the future. So every time that I open my energy and my power, right, and I'm open and I can feel that sort of fatness around me or whatever, then I offer and invite the spirit world to step in and draw near. This is my power and then their power coming together, right? As I feel their power, as they come and sit and chill with me, what that does is that they're leaving more energy with me than when we started.
Oh, wow.
So every time that I give the spirit world a chance to blend and draw close, it's almost like a perfume bottle. Every time you pour a different perfume into this bottle, it's leaving a little residue or a little bit of a resonance of whatever that scent was before. This is the same idea. It's like every time that they draw near, they're leaving just a little bit more power and energy, a little bit more power and energy. And then we have our own little energetic backpack that then begins to build up and grow. And so that when I need to connect in with the spirit world, I have all of this extra power and energy to maintain the link.
While you were describing the process of sitting in the power, like I was kind of like, I turned inward myself real quick just to give it a shot to see like the, little preview. And I did notice that like what it did immediately was take me away from my stupid busy mind. And I was like, oh, okay. Like now I'm sitting here and sensing more than anything. And even while you're talking about it, I felt an expansion and I felt a little tingly.
Hey, wow.
Yeah.
Just in the last
It's almost like the things I'm telling you guys works.
Jeez. You should write a book. Oh,
you
wait.
should be a teacher.
This is why they pay me the big bucks.
Yeah. So much practical advice.
That is my whole brand. Grounded, practical, evidence-based. That's my whole thing.
It's so great.
Well, I actually have the meditation on my website. So
okay, I was going to ask you.
Oh, yeah.
mediumichaelmayo.com. You can just download it there. It's under meditations, and do the 30-minute one is what I would recommend.
That's going to be one of my meditations during this challenge.
Yay!
I have so many questions, but we've already been talking for an hour, so I feel like I should stop. That's not even questions.
I'm chilling. I'm good.
Okay.
You need me to go.
Yeah, I feel like we could talk to him forever.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure we're taking your class.
Please. Oh my God. It'd be so fun to have you guys there.
That would be so fun.
Just the way you
get to work with me and Megan.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. What a dream team.
Yeah. And by the way, Megan, I can tell she didn't want to toot your horn too much too, but I was like, oh, you want to say more about Mr. Mayo here.
Yeah. I mean, it's literally why I was like, who is he? Yeah. And what? And we need him on our show. Yeah. She was very we've become best friends since then, and all this stuff. And we were that's amazing.
Yeah. Megan is I guess I'll say that this way. Megan is my first student who I took from nothing, meaning could not do anything, at least not aware, not a developed way anyway, to fully working medium, fully fledged.
That's
and
so
I am
amazing.
So deeply proud of everything she's accomplished. And I can't take credit for that. It's all her.
That's awesome.
Putting in the time, putting in the energy, she came to every class, every workshop, everything. She traveled with me to England to study at Arthur Findlay College. She worked with the same teachers that I did. I mean, she put in the time and energy, and she's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm so deeply, deeply proud of her. So to have her then now work with me and teach with me and do all these sorts of things, it's amazing. It's wonderful. And she knows her stuff, and she's very smart and experienced with everything. So I know maybe she was hesitant to toot, but look, I'm going to just play a whole damn band for her, right? Because she's just done such a good thing, and I'm very, very proud of her. And she's not the only student that we have like that. We have other students that have grown into these freaking phenomenal mediums who, when I first got them, couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
Couldn't do a single darn thing. So this is why we're such big people, big on dispelling so many of these ideas around specialness around mediumship, whether you can be born medium or there's all these other things. And I'm just it's just not true. Anyone can, you just have to put in the time and the energy and just have the right teaching. Yeah. Because what happens is that you get regurgitated information, someone who doesn't really understand how to do mediumship repeats the same thing that they were taught, and then that person repeats what they were taught, and then you just this really subpar mediumship,
really yucky telephone for mediums.
Yeah, exactly. and it's not coming from their experience; it's coming from the regurgitation of things, and that's the thing. It's a problem with mediumship today, and probably always, to be honest. But
sure,
where people are in such a rush to have a podcast, to have a YouTube channel, to be the medium and be famous and all these sorts of things, and they don't give it time to develop. I didn't do public work for 5 years into my development.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
Why? Because I wanted to make sure it was freaking good.
Yeah.
I wanted to know that it was going to be, actually genuine. And some people come out too early.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I don't know if the listeners can pick up on this, but you, even the way your lack of ego is, I was going to say tangible, but I can't tangent. So I appreciate that so deeply, because it really seems like you are, exactly what you're saying, the same thing that you're complaining about with the people who come out too early. They're like, oh, I figured it out. And that just is a part of ego. And you're like, here's the most effective way to get to what works for you. and it's like the basics and but also like probably into advanced stuff that you haven't shared with us, which I get. We're not ready.
We're still learning how to just like not think about our meditation. not
start meditating and then, oh, I feel something. Feel more. So, but yeah, the like lack of ego is like really, I sense where you're coming from, and I think that's huge. So I appreciate your work, sir.
I appreciate that. And, you know, I want to be totally transparent. That's not always been that way.
Sure.
The reason that I have what appears to be a lack of ego is because I've done this long enough and I've seen, I went through that stage, right? Like, to me, that's a stage in one's development where they have enough information to be dangerous. And I went through that, and I thankfully had a teacher who knocked my fucking legs out from under me.
Oh, really?
And was like, hey, bring your ass back down to earth, right? I mean, because like I said in the beginning, when you have people telling you you're amazing, you're wonderful, and you're gifted, and you're all these things, it's perfect into the ego. They're like, aphrodisiac, yes, give me that. So, I've been there, so I know what it's like. I've had that time period in my life, and then you recognize, wow, if it weren't for the spirit world, I wouldn't be able to do any of these things. So actually, it's a partnership, and it's me. What I'm good at is getting out of the way, or at least I try to be. What I'm good at is getting out of the way. That's the job of the medium. It's not to be amazing. It's not to provide a crazy evidence. The job of the medium is to be that, a medium through which something passes, not where something comes from. And you will notice very quickly in the kind of information that comes through from people, if people are still too entrenched with, I'm the one doing this. Me, you'll see it because they'll talk about just, oh my God, I could go on for forever.
I want to hear, wait, how can, because I'm like a layman when it comes to the fraudulent people. Like, what's like the worst case? I mean, I know people say like, you
got
have a curse or like you're going to die when you're, 45, but get hit by a bus or whatever. But what else? Like, what is another example of like, oh boy, you're full of shit.
Asking a lot of questions. So that's a big one. So the way that we teach and develop our students is basically all that the sitter can ever say is yes, no, I don't know, or I need more information. That's all they should ever have to say.
Oh, interesting.
They should never have to provide information. So you'll see on TV and things like that, people will be like, who's John? Or they'll say, what's with the elephant ring or whatever, like something like that. And then the sitter goes, oh, well, that's and explains it. And then the medium goes, oh, yes, because that's what I was getting. Yeah, I was getting this and da-da-da-da. And they just validate their experience after this person's already given everything. Now, that's not necessarily fraud per se, but it's showing you underdeveloped mediumship.
Interesting. Okay.
Or as I like to call it, lazy mediumship, because you're going, here's my stimulus. It's this thing, the elephant ring or whatever. And then that's where you're stopping. You're just going, here's this, what does that mean? And then they go, blah, 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 and tell you everything. Instead of what you should be doing is going, here's this elephant ring, and what they're showing me is that this is related to the person in spirit. This would have been something that was passed to you. This is something that was given to you on the 14th birthday, right? Like, it should unfold into more stimulus. So elephant ring, birthday, gift, right? Like, it should keep going. But what people are taught, because American mediumship, it's sort of an American style of mediumship, which is right. They tend to get the first stimulus and then go, tell me everything. And then, oh yeah, because I was also getting da-da-da-da. It's a confidence thing. I was
going to say, is that insecurity? Because it sounds like insecurity.
Well, and this is why you have so many people who think they can do mediumship already, because they're like, well, I can do the thing that I just saw on TV where I just ask a bunch of questions and say, this is what I'm getting, and now ask you a question. Yeah. That's not mediumship, at least in my opinion. Mediumship is, here's this information, and here's this, and this, and this, and this, and this, and this, and this follows. All of that makes sense to you, yes? Great. Because I'm also getting, right? Like, that's what genuine mediumship is. If you see some of the most amazing mediums that we have today, that's how they work. They give you the information. Yeah. All you have to do is say, yes, I can understand that. That's really all you have to say.
not needing validation.
Yeah.
That's very
Well,
interesting.
you do, because you're still getting the yes. It's just not getting it so soon.
Right.
Because there's so much more information that's there. And if you're constantly letting your sitter speak and tell you everything, what's happening is your brain is going to get involved. Like, I don't want my sitter saying anything except for yes, no, I don't know any more information. Because as soon as they start to say something, my brain's going to start to kick in and go like, well, then that must be connected to this, and that must be connected. I don't want that.
Just making
I want
shit
my
up.
brain to be shut the hell up. Man.
Yeah.
I want it to be connected to what I'm getting.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. You're a channel. You're not a detective.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. Dude, thank you so much for chatting with us. Give everybody your plugs. Tell us where they can find you and find your work.
And we'll also link it in our
Yeah.
description. But
Yeah, so everything, all social medias are Medium Michael Mayo. And also you can work with us at oakbridgeinstitute.org, which is our online school for mediumistic and psychic development. And I think that's everything. Yeah, if you want to work with me for private mentoring, you can do so at mediummichaelmayo.com. If you want to do readings, you can do so at the same spot. And yeah, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, all Medium Michael Mayo.
please come back.
Yeah, happily.
I can tell you're such a good teacher. It's so cool.
Yeah, I'm more than just slightly interested in joining one of your classes.
Oh yeah.
So
No, it'd be so fun. Like, you guys have such, I love your energy together. You guys have such a just laid back, easy, just interested. It's easy to work with you guys.
Oh, man.
Thank you.
I'm happy to come back on this podcast again. And
Cool.
Yay. Yes.
hang out because you guys are so fun.
Yay.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Thanks, Michael.
See you, buddy. Thank you for listening. Visit www.clairvoyaging.com for show notes, merch, or just to say hi. If you'd like to support our journey, visit www.buymeacoffee.com/clairvoyaging. This has been a production of Wayfeather Media.